This week I got a little bit different of a build. I got a 917/10, which is 1972 Porsche 917. There is a couple of different ones. I think there's the 917K, but this is part of the Can-Am series. This is what the car looks like original, all painted and everything. But as you can see at the moment, it's just had the bodywork done to it. It is a fiberglass body with aluminium sills. And what I'm doing on it while it is in the shop is these aluminium sills. The original parts that were on there, they had sort of been pie cut, everything, a little bit lumpy. I think they had been repaired at some stage. So now I'm just finishing that off properly. I've made these front sections up in here to match the body through in the front, and then down in the rear as well. I've got this little bit of a flare up in here too. So originally it went around and then was just straight up. For this car, it's got this flare down in here. If you look at a few photos, there aren't many of these cars, but if you do look at a few photos, some of them in the sills, they're a little bit different, and the owners wanted to go this way, which does match the body really nice, and it is all metal finished, so they'll be polished up, looking shiny and everything when it's done. So we'll get into this build and then do these front aluminium sills here. So for the front section of the sills, it does have a bit of a change in the roll. Up in the body, it's a bit more mellow of a roll, not a whole bunch. So it is flat all the way through. So I'm going to do a hammer form for this. I've screwed a couple of bits of MDF. It is thicker than I need, but it's just going to be a fair bit of strength to be hammering onto. And then the flange that I am moving is it's about 40 mil, that roll at the top bit. So it'd just be better to do it this way. Sandwich plate, got to go on top to keep that material locked in. Couple of holes so the alley's not moving around and it can stay to that shape. But I do need to carve this out. I need to add some shape, get it to this template, and then start rolling that edge and roll that edge from a little bit of a roll, and as it comes around, it's going to come tighter into a roll down in the bottom. So sort of best way, quickest way to do this for me would just be making a quick little hammer form out of MDF. It shapes up really quick. Should be using a respirator. I didn't have one on, but I should have. So probably get smashed in the comments on that one. But this dust is pretty bad, so keep yourself safe and do that. But we'll get into it, make this part, start doing the front. May have to take it off here and there and do a couple of shrinks, but it should generally come around this nice, and it'll keep that line nice and crisp where it comes around. Do the two front sections, and we'll move on into the rear. I've already done one side and then moving into the next bit, but how I've done this blended corner up in here, as you can see, that there is one radius, which is the same all the way through, and then it goes from that tight radius and then blends out into a bigger radius up in the top. I have taken templates off the car, but I've used the dividers, run along the edge and put a groove in the timber, and then I can lay my pencil in that groove and then come around, and that gives me a stop-start point. And then I've got the radius here on the end where I can sand that too, and there's your stop-start line on the top and the bottom, and that'll give you a point to go through. And then templates as well. So run your template, put it on there. That template up in here fits that radius perfectly. So that radius will go from that mallow curve down into the tight curve all the way through. Still got to do the top plate and then run this through on the router, blend that out, do the top plate, then we can start working the aluminium. Top sandwich plate is done. So that's the plate that goes on top, and then that'll get bolted through. I have pre-drilled the aluminium. So these points here, they are location points, and I've put them in a spot which is actually going to get cut off. I do need to drill a couple of other holes for this, and then it'll all be welded up and everything. These holes will be welded up, cleaned off and all that when it's done. I have gone and tested one. So that's the finished shape right there. That's your taper. You got your mallow down into the sharp roll down in the bottom. So that is what the end plate will look like. Bit of a fold on top, but that is a lot of material to move in here. So to move that material, that's going to be coming in around here. I'll break that line, get that line in there, and then work it up on the mini power hammer with the smaller thumbnail shrinking dies and work right up into that flange. Get a heap of shrinking done, put it back on, hammer it up a bit more, give it a bit more shrinking if it needs it, because that is a 70mm flange, and that flange is going to need a lot of shrinking. So power hammer comes in perfect for shrinking up in here. You can shrink a whole bunch of different other ways, but this is how I'm doing. That's the result that you end up with at the end. So we will start hammering this up, drill this top plate on, and then get that all lined up to a sandwich plate, and then start hammering this, shaping it up, and then trim it around up into shape. As you can see, that's square, and then that's trimmed up into shape for the front section. Then we'll move into the rear. after giving that just a little bit of a quick whack around the jig, that's given me a nice sharp hard line to where I need to work to. So from here to here, it's straight, so there's not going to be any shrinking or anything in there. And then this little bit up in here as well, that's pretty straight, just a little bit of curvature. And all this wavy area, that's where all that hard material needs to be shrunk around. So shrink that, give it a bit of a hammer up, we're done, and then start working into some other areas. For the front piece, TIG welded it all up, hammered it, metal finished it, all that sort of thing. So it is on the car and it's fitting really nice. So it was a little bit of difference in shape, which I've modified on the hammer forms from left to right, but that's just the fine tuning that you got to do for it to be able to match this body. So sills are done, center and the fronts, they're all good. Now I'll be moving into the rear. The rear, I did cut off. That's the rear panel that was there, but as the same as it was at the front, all ugly in around here. The shape doesn't match, any of that sort of thing. So I have got this template here and I've followed all these cutouts and that shape and everything in the back because that's actually pretty good. But I will be hammering that around all the way through, so it will be consistent. But in this area, that is going to be curving back that way a little bit to flow in with the wheel arch, because in that area, we're going to do a little flare piece, so it flares away where the flare is on the body and then tapers away into the sill and actually matches in. So that's what we're going to be doing. Basically the same thing as the front, a little bit of different stuff, but we'll hammer that out, knock that, roll it around, get it looking good, and then jump into that flare piece. as you can see, tacked it all up all the way through here. That's just holding it in place. Just through here's where I've stretched that flange, and where I've stretched that, that curve comes up and matches in with the curve of the wheel arch in through here. Now, these sills are different on different cars. Some of them, they've got this round bit and just come up to here, and it looks really ugly. So we're gonna do a bit of a taper and a flare edge on here. And as you can see round in the back, you've got this big distance here. So I'm gonna taper a flange that matches this wheel arch and run all the way through down into nothing, and just have something kick up into there, making the sill finish off and look really nice. But I needed to put that shape into it first and just get this on so I can look at it, move it around, test it, make a template in through here, and then make this part. To make this little shape, all of this is reverse curve, so pretty much a lot of stretching, which this edge down in here, that's going to need to be stretched, and that edge will have to be stretched. It is bored over and then shrunk, but that main area down in here first, got to get a little bit of shape in there, so get that shape that it needs to be for the wheel arch first, and then this flange, stretch that flange, that back edge, stretch that as well, and that'll create a reverse curve. So you want to stretch your edges for a reverse curve, and then you can tip that backside edge back around. As that comes around, then you can shrink that edge, and that'll make that piece. So we'll get into it, chuck that piece in on the other side. So that's it for the aluminium sill build. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Talked a little bit about how I've shrunk that material, got it around, used the hammer forms just to crisp up those lines and then get them really nice, making the metal finish product a little bit easier and matching the shape really nice. So if you're doing something that's flatter with a little bit of a curve, you can use a hammer form and do that sort of thing. But this is finished for a really nice job. And this is going back to the shop it's come out of. The guys are going to finish up the body and then fit up some other parts and everything that they're going to be doing in the front end and rear end, dropping a motor in it, and then polishing up these sills. So once these sills are polished, this thing's going to look bang on. Hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.